The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is The Angry Chicken.
Welcome back, everybody. This is indeed, as it was previously stated, The Angry Chicken. I'm Garrett Weinzerl, he's Willie Does Gregory, she's Jocelyn Moffat, and we are here to talk all things Hearthstone. Dills, how's your week treating you? Well, the beginning of your week. It's only Tuesday.
I'll say this: the Hearthstone side of my week has been frustrating. Got to rank 2 4-stars in Wild, and because my theory is because it's the last few days of the season, I just got hit with the nonstop train of Pirate Warrior, and then I was like, oh well, easy. I'll just counter queue them, and then of course you counter queue them, and suddenly there's all the shaman, and you're like, where were they a second ago? So, been a little bit rough, just like hit a wall again, so kind of bouncing back and forth between rank 2 and rank 3, and running out of time. So we'll see. We'll see if we can make it work.
Have you tried have you tried believing in the Hunter man? Like,
I have played some Hunter in Wild too, but it's not as fast as Pirate Warrior, right? And it's also not, amazingly, not as fast as the Druid. So anytime you queue up against those aggro decks, you get kind of run over. Yeah. Which is weird to say as a Hunter, right? You're supposed to be the fastest of the fast.
It is if you've been playing Hearthstone since the beginning. If you've been playing for like the last year, probably not so much. It is weird to say.
Well, see, you could do 2 damage for 2 mana, and they're like, that's stupid. For 2 mana, I do like 8 damage. What are you talking about, Hunter?
I was just curious.
I wonder if Pirate Hunter would be a good thing in Wild.
I tried it a while ago, and it was good when you could still play the small-time Buccaneer. But without the Buccaneer, it's not nearly as good. They don't have the other tools, I think, to make it really work. So
we're all having I guess because we Jocelyn and I had a little bit of a discussion before the show. So we're all having a pretty rough Hearthstone week.
In Wild, in Standard, every time I switch over there, I just like go on a win streak. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm lower ranked there, right? And usually it's the opposite, right? Usually my Wild is where I go to like, screw off a little bit and play some weird deck, and I'm ranked 12, right? Yeah. Now I go over to Standard and I'm like, oh, let's play some Evolved Shaman down at rank 8. Ooh, like fancy.
All right, I was curious what rank you were at because, and come at me, you YouTube commenters, I've been slacking this month, so both my ladders are still in between 15 and 10. Okay. And, over the weekend, obviously you're at a Fireside, you want to start playing some Hearthstone, go home. I'm like, yeah, I just want to see how fast I can climb. I haven't really found the deck that works this month. And I'm here to say, after 2 days of playing quite a lot of Hearthstone, I still have not found that deck. I have been losing my ass off at like rank 13, and I'm starting to wonder if I'm just bad at this game. Like for the like legit bad at this game.
Can do that to you sometimes
for the first time in a while, and I'm sure I'm gonna get troll comments about this, but I would like to have a semi-serious conversation about this because I haven't really had this feeling in Hearthstone. I haven't really had this feeling in any game I've been playing regularly, probably since StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 was a game that I covered very closely. I cared about a lot, really enjoyed. And was objectively bad at it, except I knew it. Like, for a fact, I was bad at StarCraft because it's StarCraft. This is the first time ever in the history of Hearthstone where I'm just like, am I bad? Did I, for taking 3 weeks easy, have I just completely fallen off the horse?
Were all those wins just a dream?
Not that I've
Garrett, you're not bad at Hearthstone.
Not that I've always been bad, but that I have somehow, over the course of 3 weeks of slacking off,
how to play.
Yeah, become bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that right now there's so many different decks out there that there's a lot of variance on the ladder right now. So I think if you're not playing a deck that you feel good or is queuing into decent matchups, yeah, you can run into some frustration right now for sure, just because there is so much going on.
Yeah.
And I think in the past, when there's been 4, sometimes like even 3 decks kind of at the top, you really know where you stand in each matchup quite well. And right now, it's a little bit more up in the air. Although it's getting settled in. When you're watching the tournaments now, you get a sense that the meta is starting to settle in a little bit, but not necessarily at rank 15 on the ladder. That's still the Wild West.
Yeah.
I find even, at least for me, there's just so much variance in what's going on. So I finally, I beat the rank 5 boss. I made it through that floor. And I've been, yeah, I've been kind of playing in the, rank 4 to 5. And for me, it's like I've been getting totally wrecked by either like total god, like devolves, or like mages getting ridiculous stuff off their glyphs and their babbling books and stuff like that. Like I'm going up against mages with 4 flame strikes. I'm like, you shouldn't be able to flame strike 4 times. You just shouldn't.
Well, 2 of them they play for 5 mana, right?
Well, exactly, and they're cheaper. So I'm like, it's like they flame strike every turn, like 5, 6, 7, 8. So I reload the board. I'm like, okay, and then they're like, shaboom, and then I reload the board. They're like, shaboom again. I'm like, ugh, I hate you. I just
the thing
hate
is,
you.
though, there is always the option in this current meta to just go nuclear and play Pirate Warrior or Aggro Druid. So
I know, and I've been
you can always do. There's always
I know.
ranks in the Aggro Druid if you want.
I've been trying so hard to avoid either Pirate Warrior or Aggro Druid, and I was playing Jade Druid, and that's what got me to 5, and it's
Yeah,
solid.
Jade
It's a
Druid's really
deck
good right
I
now.
understand, like, and I enjoy playing it. It feels like there's at least a little bit of strategy, especially since you don't have a lot of removal, so knowing when to use it, I feel like at least that's, making smart
Jade
trades.
Druid's
There's a
actually
little
favored
bit
against
to it.
Pirate Warrior now too. So
Yeah. But then
Yeah.
as soon as I start doing that, I don't play Pirate Warriors. I play Mage and Mage and Mage and Mage and Mage and Mage and Mage, and I just want to cry.
And
Mage is very popular.
yeah.
Yeah, they're
people
all
hit
over
high
the
ranks
place.
with it.
Yeah. So I think I might have to go down the Pirate Warrior road.
I mean, to be honest, it's almost a new month. Who really cares, right?
I know.
We're gonna
I
start
just-
a fresh month and have new fun, in that month, and we'll see if Blizzard offers us some no details thing to make us incentivized to do something.
And the shade has already been thrown. 7 minutes into the podcast.
I might just go back to Arena though next season. I'm kind of missing it, and I'm wondering what's happening over there. And last night we just kind of randomly did an Arena because I was kind of sick of the Wild Ladder, and we had 7 wins and didn't really think too hard about it, and it was fun. So I might just do that again next month. See if I can go for that leaderboard.
I'm getting the Arena itch again too. But we have decided that we are going to have our next try stream this Friday because we just so happen to be talking about doing it as one month is ending and a new month is beginning, because that's how time works. And so I think Friday's stream is going to be interesting because I'm excited to sitting down with both of you and just figuring out, okay, it's the beginning of a new season. What do we just jump into the shark infested waters with on ladder?
I think right now actually that Shaman is just the funnest deck I've played in a long time that we talked about last week.
Yeah, Token
So,
Shaman.
I think for me at the beginning of next season, that's going to be my go-to.
Are you going to do Wild next season too, or are you going to just stick?
No, it was fun, but
you sound
I
so
want it to
convincing
be-
when you say it was fun.
Yeah, I want it to be my little safe space again. My little wild safe space where I go and I'm like, oh, look, I'm ranked 12. Aw.
Next month, it's going to be totally fine because no one's going to be playing Wild because there's no tournament.
I know,
to qualify
everyone's
for,
going to be good again. I get to play my milkshake deck again, so
Yep.
yeah. I'm really looking forward to watching, seeing who gets the top 64 though, and how that all shakes out. It'll be fun to actually watch a serious Wild tournament.
I don't know.
I'm glad that they did it.
Yeah, I don't know if she's held it, but I know Cora at one point was 61. So I really, really hope that she makes it through because, I mean,
That'd be
the
cool.
casters take so much crap whenever there's, the playoffs, the qualifiers, whatever, saying, oh, did they even play, blah, 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 blah. So it was just so awesome to see her actually make it through and play in the Wild tournament.
Well, all that really matters is the last day, right? So
Yeah.
if she can get on there and have a good win streak there on the last day, absolutely she could qualify.
Oh,
we'll see though. I don't know
yeah.
how many there are. I know there's at least 400 or something because I played against a legend 430 last night or something like that. So there's at least that many.
Yeah.
Which is still way less than you see. Usually when you're at like rank 2 and you see a legend player on the ladder, they're like 2,000 something. Yeah.
Raven in the chat room though is saying Cora can't play, so that was the one thing, is because I guess they're casters, so they
were throwing shade at each other in the tournament the other day, which was kind of fun.
So I don't know if
enjoyed it.
she
I
means,
was like, please, Blizzard,
Cora can't play because she's a Blizzard employee, or Cora can't play because like Cora can't play Hearthstone.
Or as a
Cora
statement.
can't play, yeah. Oh, there you go. That's the real reason. By the way.
Yeah.
Like you're informing me of an article of news, or you're making a statement. One of the two.
Exactly. It could be either or.
I believe Raven is informing us of a piece of news and not trolling Cora. So, yeah, that'll be. I'm very much looking forward to watching the Wild tournament as well. But again, I'm going to go in and watch a tournament where players qualified it by playing something that was in no way like the tournament structure itself. Give me a best of series in the game, for the love of God, please. Thank you. Anyways, before we get into the big kind of discussion topics of this week, Hearthstone news and all of that jazz, we have a sponsor on this episode to thank. Harrys.com is sponsoring this episode of The Angry Chicken yet again. And they've got a new promotion for you that will be running for a little bit here, and you'll understand why, because, Father's Day. It's right around the corner, which means gift buying anxiety is creeping its way into the back of my brain, worse than trying to calculate lethal. And the reason for that is my dad is impossible to shop for. His only hobby on God's green earth is playing poker. And what the hell am I going to buy my dad for his poker hobby? Hey, Dad, here's $50. Go buy in at the lowest stakes stable you can possibly find at the local Hard Rock Casino. Thanks.
No, I know what you get him for poker. You get him a really cool card protector, like the little thing you put on top of your cards when you're playing Hold'em, so that they don't, fall off the table.
Yeah, any poker
is that
thing.
A real concern? Your cards just fall.
Yeah, that's the thing. People put a chip on top of them or something like that to make, because if they somehow get exposed, you like are dead. Your hand's dead. So any
poker thing you, by the way, could pull out here, Dills. He has. Sure. That's when you think of poker accessories, that's basically it. Like you're done at card cover. Yeah. So that's it. Like get him a cool deck of cards. He has like 20 cool decks of cards. Get him a poker table. Already has one. Done. So on and so forth.
There's no like cool poker gloves or anything like that.
Also poker tables.
You get him some sweet shades he doesn't have maybe because players like to wear glasses.
Yeah, exactly. But luckily, Harry's is being very nice, and they are. We're actually getting sent these, but they have a new gift box. If you remember back around the holidays, we probably got on here and we talked to you about the holiday gift box from Harry's, and we were all pretty stoked because we're internet nerds, which means we are shameless suckers for cool, like fun unboxing experiences. And the holiday box was really great. It was a really nice box with some, great Harry stuff inside it, including, all the stuff you would expect to shave your face with, which is what we talk about every time Harry sponsors this episode. And this box for Father's Day it's the same level of quality. Jocelyn, you have actually received yours. I haven't received mine yet.
I do. I have mine. It's super fancy. Ooh, Harry's box.
Whoa.
Ooh,
yeah.
Shiny and silver.
Yes. I can do like the Vanna White thing. Wait. Oh, wait. I have to get it in front of my face, so I guess I can't. Ta-da!
Oh, this is so lost on our audio listeners. But eat it up, YouTube and
Twitch.
Twitch.
This is the best part of the audio podcast.
Yeah.
Ta-da! Here's the thing you can't see.
Anyways, they do have an offer up for you. You can get $5 off one of their shave sets, including this limited edition Father's Day set, over at harrys.com/TAC. Make sure you do that /TAC. Save yourself $5 off, and go get yourself one of these limited edition gift sets. So, Dad, hopefully you weren't listening, because otherwise this was ruined for Father's Day.
And you can also, so it comes with this super cool little chrome razor stand, and you can actually get this engraved, right?
Yeah, you can get a custom engraving. I believe it's $10. Yes. So go and check that out. Get it engraved.
Garrett. You just have that say poker.
Yeah.
It's 3 letters, so it's arcade rules. Arcade rules. You gotta do 3 characters.
PKR.
PKR. Done. done. It's actually, I might actually do that, Dills. That's
I know how much you like poker, Dad.
that might work. That might actually work. The in joke of it enough makes me want to go and do that. So go check it out. Comes with a storm gray razor handle, chrome razor stand, foaming shave gel, 3 replacement blades, and a travel cover. We thank Harry's.com for supporting this episode. Get $5 off at Harry's.com/TAC. Now let's move on to what's happening in the world of Hearthstone.
Good news, everyone!
So I wanted to do something a little bit different and not lead our news section this week with just like a single piece of news that everyone's been talking about this week. Because the most chatter I've seen around, other than whatever everyone happens to think is broken with HCT this weekend, is... well, basically limited formats in Hearthstone outside of Arena. Different ways to play the game specifically for budget or free-to-play players, whatever term you would like to use. And I've seen the word popper thrown around the most ever in my history of playing this game without Dills being in the room.
I remember the first time Dills used it, and I thought he meant like pop, like P-O-P, like popper. I was like, what? Are those the cards that pop out other ones? Like, what is a popper tournament?
It's not a common phrase, yeah.
It really is
not a word that's in the vernacular of most people these days. So yeah, it's weird that it's become the term used here. But yeah, popper was very fun. We had the Tavern Brawl, and a lot of people really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun too, because it was just like a new experience, something you hadn't had in Hearthstone before. Yeah.
So I think a lot of this jazz is kind of stemming from, as you mentioned, the peak to the past brawl, but also not that he's the first to do it. It's been done many times, but Disguised Toast did hit Legend with a fresh free-to-play account within the last week.
Yeah, Trump was like the first one I remember doing that, but that was back in like vanilla Hearthstone.
Right? with a mage deck. Back in the original days of legendaries equal wins. This is the first time we ever heard that.
I can't remember what it was called, but they've had a couple tournaments too where they have like 4 pros kind of like racing with free-to-play accounts, and whoever gets the highest rank wins.
It was like
I can't remember what they were called, but yeah,
I remember that too.
Yeah,
it's a
that was
cool
a couple
concept.
years ago now, I think, though.
Yeah, it's a cool concept, and it's something that it was the reason why I created like my Asian account and stuff like that, was to just kind of get that feel of starting from the bottom, trying to figure out how to build a deck when you're missing a bunch of cards. And, because in my main account, I have every card. So why the hell would I ever, if I want to put the damn legendary in, I put the damn legendary in. And when you don't have the legendary, it's actually quite interesting trying to figure out what goes there, right? But the peak to the past brawl was really cool because it took out everything, right? Suddenly you were really struggling. It was hard to figure out what class was even going to be good. And most classes actually had viable strategies, but generally the games played out more in a minion fashion, right? There's a lot more back and forth trading on the board, and it was the decks felt a lot more mid-ranged. When you got to the top end of the spectrum, the options there were just so limited, right? So everything was kind of built around turns 3, 4, and 5. And then when you got to like 6 and plus, you're putting in Stormwind champions and stuff. It's just the options there aren't great. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of talk about these, what this could mean for potential like permanent modes in Hearthstone. Just to remind our listeners, if this is your first time tuning in and hearing the term popper, popper is a term that comes from Magic, and it's a format in that game where only common rarity cards are allowed. And then a lot of times they'll combine that restriction with other restrictions, such as what sets are allowed to be pulled from. And everyone's, obviously drawing this parallel between Peak to the Past and Pauper and Magic. Now, granted, Peak to the Past allowed also rares, but I think it kind of needs it. I don't know. Otherwise, it just wouldn't be enough cards.
There wouldn't be enough cards if it was straight up common, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted to bat the idea around here. Do we think that there's room for a permanent mode with a limited card pool in Hearthstone outside of just Arena?
Something along the lines of like with a ladder or with a like best of or just anything.
I don't want to go down. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole that I always bring up, which is getting a best of. I would like to see that with our normal, just standard play first, and then maybe get weird with it later.
I meant more along the lines of like a arena, the way it's currently structured, 12 and 3, like something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
they could do heroic tavern brawls anytime they want with different rule sets, right?
Yeah,
true.
So that's definitely an option.
Yeah, but so far we haven't.
Yeah, I mean, you know me. I want more buttons to push and more formats to play. I literally just want a sandbox mode where I can decide the rules that I want to put into place. And there's definitely ways to do it. We've talked about it. There's ways to do it outside of that. But yeah, I think the cleanest way it'll ever be is in the game. And sure, a ladder for just popper play would be pretty fun, I think. But also, if you had a rotating thing where, like right now, if they were to do it, it would probably be in Heroic Tavern Brawls, right? That would be, because that's the tech that's in place. Mm-hmm. People would kind of be pissed, though, because right now, I don't think a lot of people want there to be Heroic Tavern Brawls all the time, right? And there have valid reasons. Like, a lot of people rely on that free pack every week to, to be opening stuff and feel like they're progressing in their collection. So I think another type of rotating brawl button type of thing where they could put in a different rotating competitive mode would be pretty fun. I think that'd be cool.
I wouldn't mind just a third ladder. Like, you could queue into standard, wild, or popper, and I think it would be kind of cool to either be just everything or the standard rotation in a popper ladder. I don't necessarily think I would like it to go down the road of like being basic vanilla plus like 2 other expansions or anything. Like, I'd like it to be a little bit more like steady. And so either match the card pool of standard or of wild, but then only allowing those 2 rarities of cards in common and rare, I think would be fine. It would be a lot of fun. And it would give people a place to play where they didn't have to worry about being ranked 20 and queuing into somebody with a basically totally filled out net deck.
Which is a common thing that we hear about.
It's
People
a common
get really
complaint,
frustrated.
absolutely, yeah. It's like when they queue into even wild now, like they're queuing into people at really low ranks and they're playing things like Sylvanas and Rag, and they're like, I just started the game. I have like Mana Worm.
And, to be fair, like you can beat those decks because I regularly, when I play on my Asian account, I have these awful versions of Rogue put together where there's no good cards in it at all. Like, I think the deck that I have to play when I have a Rogue quest on my Asian account is the Stealth Rogue thing with the buff my stealth guys, and I've got Shadow Ragers in there and stuff. It's that bad. I mean, but I've been beating these fully net deck guys at like rank 20 because they're still rank 20 for a reason, right? The problem though is when you're a new player, you also you don't have 4 years of Hearthstone experience. Mm-hmm. To rely on being able to beat those guys, right?
Yeah.
So you see a big legendary come down, and you don't go, "Oh, I know what to do about that." The big legendary comes down, and it just like crushes your soul. So, I think it would be a great place for newer players to have a ladder experience, right? Mm-hmm. And that would be super cool for them. It might get them to stick around. You could even make it like a shorter ladder or something like that. When they get, you don't have it be like 25 to legend. You have like a smaller version of that, and then when they get to like the top of it, then the game kind of tells them, "Hey, you're ready to go play the big boy ladder now," something like that.
I didn't even think about it as specifically a tool for new players, but that is an interesting aspect. I was just thinking of if we added a third ladder that was this mode, have it to where maybe not every month, but it may be every few months that the allowed pool of cards changes.
Yeah, that's cool too. A rotating thing where you just kind of, it's always something new and different.
Yeah, I could see us even coining phrases for certain combinations of certain expansions.
Yeah, that could be kind of cool. I don't know. I'm still, I still think that it should fit either under the wild or under the standard rotation, just to keep it a little bit, I guess, a little bit easier, like lower the barrier to entry. Like, because I mean, if it's standard, then it's going to have the exact same perks that standard normally has, right? In that you don't have to worry about not have playing Hearthstone for the last like 2 or 3 years. You can just kind of jump in, get what's available in the store, and go, as opposed to having to craft and collect stuff from the in between times. And I think that collection issue that you're trying to solve with a popper type ladder would just be compounded if you kind of made different combinations of stuff that isn't available in the store anymore, right?
Was the Tavern Brawl standard or wild? I can't remember.
It was just the very beginning stuff. Like, it was basic and vanilla. It didn't include any expansions.
Yeah,
which,
but, like,
which I think, and Garrett
yeah,
makes
that's
the
right.
point. Yeah, Garrett makes the point in the notes that if it was just kept to basic and vanilla all the time, that would get really boring because it's a really small pool of cards. So I don't think that making it exactly like the Tavern Brawl is the way to go. But I think, you know, doing a ladder out of just those rarities of cards is a really cool idea, and I think would make a lot of free-to-play players more likely to go into some more competitive play. But yeah, I don't know. I think you don't necessarily want to compound the problem by making people have big filled-out collections, because that's the problem you're trying to solve.
I think you bring up some really interesting points I didn't even think of, Jocelyn. And it's almost making me think of it like, well, what problem are we trying to solve? Are we trying to build this for free-to-play players? Are we trying to play this for current players? Because I think the answer is different. I think if it's for free-to-play players, I think your suggestion is the right one. If it's for current players or you know, more seasoned players, I think it's something that changes more often, because if we just make it standard and wild, then it's going to move at the speed of Hearthstone. It's going to move at the speed of everything else already in the game. Whereas in my head, I'm like, oh, wouldn't this be cool if this swapped over every 2 months? So there's one more thing in Hearthstone that changes with a little more frequency that we can, you know, have this developing meta around. Yeah, of course, they don't release expansions. And at some point, we will have seen every combination. And it'll only be every few months that there'll be a new expansion to possibly mess around with. But I don't know. Overall, just this idea just got my gears spinning, and I like the idea of new formats. And because it is a digital card game, we are at the mercy of the developer for what is possible outside of you know, just trying to play with.
And they don't want to put too many buttons.
Yeah.
We've heard the confusion argument plenty of times. But like if I had it my way exactly, you would just push a button that said limited, and then you could do all sorts of different formats within that, right? So you could do arena, you could do popper, you could do all sorts of stuff in there. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a draft or you know, an arena picking situation. You could also, limited would also have this under its umbrella, right? So you could go in there and play like an arena style buy-in thing, but we're all playing popper, right? Or we're all playing some other form of limited Hearthstone. So that would be the way I want it, but I know that Blizzard doesn't want people to be like, what's this limited button? They want it to just be like, oh, arena, I know what that is. I get it.
Well, and I think that's why I think kind of the constructed ladder kind of works, because you already have a place. You have the play button, you go there, and then you have a button that you push to choose your mode, and you could choose your, why not just put 4 there? You could have standard, you could have wild, you could have popper, and then you could have popper with rotating expansions, like Garrett said. Like, if the underlying tech is the same, if the ladder works the same, then there's no reason why you can't just add more formats to that button.
I like it. I always like the answer that is just put everything in. That's always my favorite answer. Is just, you know, why compromise? Just everything.
Yeah. Why aren't you giving us more stuff? Come on.
Exactly. And this is not me saying we need this. Oh my God, it's moving too slow. I'm like just starting to get a little bit of Ungoro fatigue, and I think this is the longest I've ever gone in any expansion.
Sure.
Before.
That's definitely
and
true.
there's still things to be explored, though. By the way, I mean, have you played much Wild? You know, like there's. You know, there's still, like, I feel like I've just played a bunch of Wild. I'm excited to get back into Standard next month and feel that again. So
yeah, and I've played more Hearthstone in the last 2 months than I've played in a really long time, and I've gotten higher ranked in both these months than in a really long time, and I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm getting a little bit fatigued though, like we talked about at the top of the show. But like, you're totally right, Dills. I feel like I have not played any arena, and I have played a very, very limited amount of Wild. I think it was just we talked about a Wild deck one week, so I went over to Wild to test it out. But other than that, like, I have not touched either one of those formats. So there's still a lot of Hearthstone for me to play right now, and that's exciting. That's awesome, because we should also be coming up on a new expansion soon-ish. And I mean, Garrett, you're totally right. We are 2 months now into Ungoro, and I'm only now getting fatigued. Like, I feel like when we were kind of this far into Mean Streets, or really probably even Old Gods, I was just like, kind of flagging a little.
I was very done with Mean Streets by this point. Very done. Old Gods, it's probably a little closer.
Old Gods lasted a while for me.
It did.
Mean Streets
but it was the first
pretty
standard
quick.
rotation too, so I feel like
That's
that was a really big thing. But yeah, Mean Streets, I was pretty much over in about 2 to 3 weeks, I think, just because.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm in charge
Pirates
now.
and Jades.
A little bit much. He was in charge, and I was just like, fine, have it, and left.
Freaking Mean Streets. Oh, 3 classes are kind of bad. Yay. Thanks, Mean Streets.
Yeah.
I can't express, again, how happy I am that Paladin is good once again. But
by the way, speaking of limited, I think tomorrow on my stream, I'm going to be playing against one of my buddies we're going to use the Tempo Storm tool. So we're
cool.
out there, we're trying, we're practicing what we preach, right? Which is there are tools out there right now. And so we're gonna go at it for like a $10 wager and have like a best of 5.
Nice.
It'll be fun.
That's cool, man. I will have to tune into that. Anyways, the HCT spring preliminaries were this past weekend, and if you're still watching those VODs, there be spoilers ahead. All right? You safe? Cool.
Yeah, and also if you go back and watch VODs of Hearthstone, you're weird, man. Just watch it while it's live.
Hey, man, it's Sunday. People got stuff to do.
I get it. But it's funny because it's like the one thing I'd never care about being spoiled. I'm like, sure, who won? Okay, I'll still go watch.
I don't care about being spoiled. I totally understand watching VODs, though. Because
watching VODs, I do understand.
Esports just aren't scheduled well enough, in my opinion. It's not like football where it's like, this team's playing this team at this time, and cool, that's the matchup I want to see. We're literally watching a Swiss freaking tournament play out in real time over the weekend. That is just inconvenient.
It's also 2 whole days, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can't. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna. It's not like I'm gonna hold back from finding out what happened for over 2 whole days, so I can watch the 2 whole days again later.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that wasn't what I was getting at, but whatever the case is. Hey, Muzzy, first place, finally. Congrats.
Yep. That was so good to see. Oh, I was so happy. I think a lot of people were rooting for him.
Him and Ant. I was so happy seeing Ant on Twitter, just like, oh my God, I'm going. I can't believe I'm going to China. That's what I want to see from esports. That's the type of storylines I like to hear. Not that I wouldn't have liked more household names to bust through, but that's what Europe's for.
We got
apparently.
that from Europe.
Exactly. That's what Europe's for. Let's let some other players have their day. So.
But yeah, I was really glad to see Muzzy go through, and there were some really awesome matches, and then there were some really like cringy, oh my God, can this just be over already matches. And one thing I noticed about HCT, and I'm really glad that with all the deck lists that have come out of Asia, it seems like their tournament's going to be the exact opposite. But holy hell, the control, man. Like, these were long days for the players, for the casters, for everybody. It was just madness. It's like I walked away for half an hour and then I tuned back in again and I'm like, okay, not only is this the same 2 players, but this is literally the same game. Like, come on now.
There was some decks where they basically were waiting for the other person to play stuff, because they don't want to play stuff first. Yeah, that type of Hearthstone. It's funny because when people get a little bit complainy about the aggro meta, I always kind of tell them, do you really want the control meta? Because if you really want it,
are you sure you know what you're asking for?
Yeah, like when it actually happens, and you're doing control warrior armor pass games against each other, then it's not the best thing ever. You want a mix. That's what you really want. It was nice to see in the top 4 some players with just pure aggro lineups. I mean, Ant's lineup was just basically, here I come. And it did actually kind of fail him at the end. I mean, the Pirate Warrior fell flat towards the end there, but you always want there to be a healthy mix, and when it's just all purely control or all purely aggro, then that's when the game isn't doing that well. So I think we need more good combo decks back, though. That's the one thing. Right now, there's not a lot of that running around. Yeah,
if we get that in there, because right now it feels the most leaning towards control I think it really ever has. But there, like you mentioned, there's still aggro running around. I think if we could just take away a little bit of the percentage of control and replace it with combo, I think we'd have this good kind of trifecta, and it would keep the games pretty, I don't know, varied. But yeah, I still enjoy. To be fair, though, like
Thorison going away was like almost enough to kill combo, right? It was just, how do you get these combos off now?
There's something I really enjoy, and maybe this was because I had to attend the Fireside at a bar instead of where we usually have it, where there isn't just free-flowing alcohol even though sometimes I bring my own. There's something I really enjoy about just sitting there with a big beer, just watching a long control game. I don't know why. It's relax. It's oddly relaxing. Mm-hmm. But if that's what I enjoy, I guess I had a good weekend, because that was pretty much my whole Saturday was that.
I see what you're saying, but I also find when I'm watching a control game, like you remember when we were sitting there live at DreamHack Austin a few years back.
Yep.
And Chalky was playing, and I believe it was
a Control Warrior.
Both players
mirror.
were playing Control N'Zoth Paladin or something like that.
I think it was a Control Warrior mirror where they were both saving Elise, and there were no minions played forever because you wanted to save your executes and your armor ups and your shield slams. And
sure. But the problem is, like, for me, I don't find it relaxing at all because I'm thinking along with the players, and there's just so much going on, so many things you have to be tracking, right? So it's way more tense than being like, hey, turn 2, drop my 2 drop. Turn 3, drop my 3 drop. Turn 4, smash your face. Like that's if you want relaxing, that's put on
Control's not the way.
Yeah, put on some classical music and play some Pirate Warrior. That's very relaxing.
Yeah, I mean, on a personal level, I think I hate playing that personally, but something about being able to think along but not actually have anything on the line is a lot.
Sure, you guys zone out.
I'm enough removed that I enjoy the whole darn experience. But and also, if we're gonna talk about Control or just Warrior mirror matches, I'll take the old Control Warrior mirror match any day over Taunt Warrior mirror match. That's the
button Warrior.
I'm with you, Joss, and I think this wasn't mentioned on today's show. I think it was off air.
It was off air, yeah. In the pre-show.
Yeah, so Joss, yeah. I don't want to. It's like I'm trying not to speak for you, but
okay. So basically, my point was before the show, the game. It was Chalky, and I can't remember who his opponent was, and I'm sorry for that. And I'm pretty sure it was Game 5, and they were both playing Taunt Warrior, and it's like every single turn was just like there was one minion on board and face, and they were both down, below 8, and it was just like push the button, 50-50, 50-50, 50-50 for like 4 to 5 turns in a row, and I was just like, this is like actually dumb. And I know that there's a whole big long game that leads up to get it to that point, but I'm just like, it shouldn't be a literal 50-50 coin flip to see, because it was an elimination match. I think they were both 4-2. It was like whoever wins has a chance to continue on in the tournament. Whoever loses is going to be out. And it's just like, this just doesn't feel good for anyone. Like, no player's chances in a tournament should be down to push a button 50-50, push a button 50-50, push a button 50-50. That's just, it's not fun. It's
fine in the non-mirrors, right? It's just the mirror match where it gets really ridiculous, because in the non-mirror match, the other classes have tools against it, right? But when it's the 2 warriors going at it, they don't have token generation, so they have to be like playing stuff out of hand, and then you end up, they don't have a lot of ability to play multiple minions on a turn very often either, because most of their cards at that point in the game are drop 1 card, and then I also have to save mana for a hero power. So there's not a lot of strategy there outside of just, okay, I hope it doesn't hit my face this time. And if it's Paladin, at least you're like putting a 1/1 and another minion, and have something to do. But in the mirror match, you're right. They're literally just playing coin flip against each other now. And the argument for Quest Warrior is that there's a big long game leading up to it, and not just I drop rag 8 mana, boom. So there's a lot that has to go into it before you get that hero power. But the fact that the hero power never goes away from that point on, it just ends up, it's not fun to watch. Raven just said in chat, it's not fun to cast.
Yeah, I feel like I wish, like, we have Eater of Secrets and crabs galore. I wish there was an Eater of Hero Powers where you could just be like, no, you're not rag anymore.
Jocelyn
and I know I tech cards I don't enjoy in general. I'm just don't like the rag hero power as a mechanic.
But they can't have techs against quests, right? Because if you tech against a quest, your whole deck is around that, you 100% lose. So yeah, I don't know. I think the real answer here is that you don't want these things to be competitively viable, right? At least like Quest Rogue, there's interesting back and forth gameplay, and there's a solid thing you can do. And I guess you could say the thing that you do against Taunt Warrior is try to kill them before they get to, the weapon, but they're putting a damn taunt up every turn.
Yeah. They
doesn't
live
really
behind
work.
a wall.
Yeah. Play Black Knight, but then it sucks against everything else.
Well, that's good for one of their 7 taunts.
Yep.
So what I'm hearing is Jocelyn wants the Grand Tournament 2 with more hero power screwing with tricks.
Sure. Yep. If I could have some sort of like minion on my side that I could play like Justicar 2.0, where I could change my opponent's hero power, but then it became like the more powerful one. So like the 4 armor hero power, I'd give him 4 armor for days over the rag hero power.
There is a card where you can make it cost 7, right? Is that in Wild now, though?
I think that's in Wild because that came out a long time ago. I think that was a
What if
Grand
people started
Tournament
taking that damn card in? Just to,
Even then, they'd still push the button.
They'd still push the button because 7 mana for 8 damage is not bad. But at least they don't do other stuff that turn, right? The fact that it's 2 mana, you do other stuff in the same turn. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Plus, they also just have
cost 1 mana and stuff.
They also just have a million ways to clear your board, right? There's Sleep with the Fishes and there's Brawl and all that stuff. So even if you do try to flood the board against Taunt Warrior, they end up just, killing your whole board and getting another 50-50. It makes sense why it's in the meta as far as like a tournament is concerned, because it does have some really good matchups. But I guess the answer is we need Jade Druid to crush it so that it's not viable. But not enough people were bringing Jade Druid because they're all bringing aggro. So, yeah. I think we're going to see a few of these until the next rotation happens. These games are going to happen.
The rotation, you think? Or
no, like the next expansion. I think something else will come in, yeah.
I hope so.
It's just the best way to play Control Warrior right now,
Yeah, definitely. I have one more tiny little, I guess, nit that I would like to mention on the show before. I know Garrett wants to talk about the actual Buffalo Wild Wings, how that actually ended up playing out. But one thing I wanted to mention, because I did watch quite a lot of this tournament over the weekend, and I had the chat room open off and on, which I really don't want everyone in chat room or, emails, Twitters, whatever, to tell me just don't read Twitch chat, because that's not really an answer. And it's not even really the issue that I have. The issue that I had is I've been watching a lot of global games as well. And there's one caster on global games, and I can't remember his name, and I feel really bad about that. He's a British caster, has a really thick accent, and he also has a little bit of like I don't want to say speech impediment because that's probably not right, but almost like a lisp. Anyways, it makes him very, very, very difficult to understand. And there were a lot of criticisms in the chat room during Global Games saying essentially, I can't understand him. His job is casting. Blizzard, maybe rethink your casting decisions. So they were kind of a little bit more along the lines of constructive criticism, saying that he was very hard to understand. And every single one of those people was instantly banned from chat. Fast forward to HCT, and there were comments about players, there were comments about casters, there were comments about Korra, which were just disgusting. And there were no bans going out in chat whatsoever. And I was just like, okay, both of these are Blizzard events. Where are your mods? Like, either mod very, very strictly or don't mod, but like just the consistency there, I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, it was so bad this weekend. There were like I said, ridiculous things said about Korra, ridiculous things said about all the casters, things about the players, about their appearance, like things that have nothing to do with the quality of the esports or the casting. And then, but like I say, with the other Blizzard event, with the Global Games, it was like insta-ban for what I considered, and in some cases, yes, I will give you that there were a lot of people in Twitch chat being very rude during the Global Games cast, but there were also a lot of comments that I would say were very fair and very constructive criticism. So like, I just wanted to say, like, WTF Blizzard, like, get your mods together, because this tournament was bad, particularly on Saturday.
Also,
it should just be consistent, right? Either don't mod it at all or mod it the same all the time.
Also, it's been over a year since last DreamHack Austin, where we had a long conversation about this, a very same issue, and not just WTF Blizzard, WTF Twitch, because my answer is keep Twitch chat off, but that is a problem. I am telling you, Twitch TV, your chat is pointless during anything with more than 200 viewers. So
I think honestly, the real thing here is it shouldn't be on necessarily Blizzard. Twitch should have a mod team like available for esports, like bigger esports events. Whenever there's a larger, production going on, and there's a lot of people in the chat, they should have people that just go there and they're like, okay, we are professional mods. We get paid by Twitch to do this, and we know what to do, and they can reach out to the tournament organizer and say, what kind of rules do you want in place? How strict do you want this to be? But that they're a team that does that. I mean, they're making enough money to hire some people to do this. There's enough people making sure that no upskirts happen, and those people get banned immediately. Like, you could send some of those people to just mod the chat. We don't have to always be worried about what your IRL streamers are doing. Maybe get some professional chat mods as well. I think that would be ideal.
Well, and that's kind of my point. Like, Blizzard is a big enough company that they should be able to pay people to mod their chat when they have big events going on, like Global Games or like HCT. And if that's what they're doing, they should be properly trained, and their modding practices should be consistent across the board. Because to me, what this looks like is Blizzard doesn't want criticism, but they're totally fine with racism and sexism, and that's not okay.
Which is not the case, but it looks like that. Yeah,
it looks like that.
Exactly. No, I know what you're saying. Like, I had this conversation the other day with Patrick about, we were on the instance, we were talking about, how much presence like the Overwatch team has with the community, and then when Hearthstone doesn't, it looks to us like they don't really care as much as the Overwatch team does, and that may not be the case, but it doesn't matter what the truth is. What matters is the appearance, right? And so, yeah, I'm sure it's that Blizzard doesn't have, the tools in place to deal with it, rather than they don't care. But like they're responsible for putting the actual production on, right? They're responsible for the actual what you're watching, the cast, the crew, all that stuff, the cameras. Twitch is responsible for the channel that we're getting it through, right? They are the ones distributing that content that's being created by Blizzard. So I would like it if they were handling that aspect of it, right? Which their end is the chat. That's the stuff that they're presenting to us. So, yeah, they should have some mods.
Yeah.
Boy, talking about Buffalo Wild Wings seems really stupid now.
I'm sorry, Garrett.
How were them wings, though, Garrett? Were they wild enough for you? Were they buffalo enough for you?
There is no segue on this earth that works now. Is the point.
I know, I should have put it in the notes. I'm sorry, Garrett.
Or maybe save for the end. So it's just like, here's Garrett's unimportant thing.
Nit,
and let's,
it was just little. It was tiny.
And our HCT. Yeah. And your lead up, Joss. Oh, man. Yeah, that was a really accurate lead up. I just have one more small nit to pick.
One more little thing.
I would like to call in something that's been plaguing humanity since the beginning. If I could just
I'm
tease
sorry.
you. No, don't be sorry. This is a really important conversation to have, and that's why I'm actually making a joke about what I'm about to talk about is not an important conversation.
How were them partitioned areas?
Oh, they were so well partitioned, Dills. Let me tell you about how good of a job Buffalo Wild Wings did making sure that the players weren't just in the middle of the frying area.
But seriously, how was it? Was it good?
I mean, if anyone is even remotely interested now after talking about about the importance of modding your chat room because of social injustice, it was okay. Is really what it boils down to. It was not the end of the world. I thought I pretty much stick with what I thought going in. That Buffalo Wild Wings is a pretty solid Fireside venue. Maybe still probably not the best to send your qualified players to go and play at. That being said, I thought they did a very fine job, actually, without making a joke about it, partitioning off an area for the pros to go and compete. But I mean, without going back too deep into it, I think I've spent 2 episodes now really kind of airing my concerns, and they all really just stand. Like everything I was, for the most part, I mean, the connection was fine. Actually, there was no issue with the connection whatsoever. And as far as noise levels, there was nothing that headphones couldn't drown out. So, personally, for me, I'd rather be back at our usual venue where we have complete control over everything, because this was the first Fireside I haven't worked in 2 years. So I was just pretty much there as an attendee. And my snarky retort is, man, Buffalo Wild Wings is a fantastic place to go and have a fireside if you want to watch Hearthstone but not hear it. Because all I heard was baseball all day while I was watching Hearthstone. And listen, at noon on a Saturday after season in Florida, we were the only people there. There was no reason baseball should have been the thing on the freaking speakers. It's
kind of weird that they didn't just have like the cast going on in the background. Or I guess they only have access to broadcasting TV as opposed to Twitch.
I mean, they had Twitch on one TV.
But just without the volume on?
And, no, there was no way to hear it. So I was listening to baseball while watching. So Raven in the chat room saying, "Oh man, those rag on rag hero power games are not fun to cast." I don't know because I didn't get to hear the casters actually.
You did a great job as far as Garrett's concerned.
Yeah, as far as I know, you did a great job because I couldn't hear you. I was sipping a beer and making fun of the coin flip with my friends next to me. But
so how many players actually played out of your location?
3.
Did you get a chance to actually talk to them at all? Because I know when Amy was in the chat room last week, she was saying that it's just really not a great idea to marry the firesides with the qualifiers just because like the players get so exhausted that they don't really want to do like the whole meet and greet thing. And I can see, especially after seeing the tournament and seeing how many control matchups they were and how long the days were, did you guys get any sense of the players being like, WTF, like I need a place to just chill out and be quiet and think and rest, really?
I really didn't because I wasn't hanging out in the player pit. We just had our admins in there. Really, not even Amy was there. Amy, who previously used to kind of split her time between adminning and running the fireside. I didn't have a chance to ask her, but it seems to me like Blizzard maybe had been like, "Hey, you do the fireside and grab some people specifically for admitting the tournament." And we have a group of us now that have done this for a while, so it was very easy. The people. It's not like the people that were admitting had never done it before. They've been doing it alongside the rest of us for the last 2 years. But as far as the play, how it affected players, I don't know because there were only 3 of them there, and they had their head in the game the entire time. I didn't want to bother them.
Mm-hmm. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Well, if you didn't hear anything, that's a good.
Yeah,
sign.
yeah, I think so. Because I feel like if there were complaints, they would have been loud complaints.
yeah. And like I said, only 3 players, which actually isn't even the smallest number we've received in the past. We've had as low as 1 before. So, yeah.
Probably representing.
The funnest anecdote I walked away with was the local manager of the Buffalo Wild Wings here clearly was not didn't have the full scoop, I guess, because the night before when they were setting up, he was just like, "Are we really shutting this bar down for 3 players?" And they're like, no, there's 3 qualified players coming, and then there's just going to be a bunch of people attending. And I loved his skepticism because the next day he was clearly very pleased because, like I said, Saturday afternoon, Florida, no longer season, there was a lot of people in that bar. So
very cool.
Yeah.
I guess really amusing. Hopefully it was a good thing for Buffalo Wild Wings. It seems like you didn't have too many problems with it. I'm sure you would have heard complaints about the internet if it wasn't working. So seems like a good thing, especially if there's some sort of backroom sponsorship something going on.
There has to be. I don't know.
More money for Hearthstone's always good.
Yeah, so. That's the only thing I can think of. I just wish they'd be at this point. I want to know why. I just want to know why.
Yeah, just be upfront about it.
Exactly. Because this was great for me. It took me 40 minutes to get there. It usually takes me 2 hours to get to the fireside, but I'd still rather drive the extra hour plus to have our usual venue. But whatever the case was, it was still totally fine. And I enjoyed some beer and some spicy chicken. So anyways, moving on. Ben Brode has been a little chatty this week. And, specifically, Reddit is keeping Brode to his chattiness from over a year ago. So if you don't remember, a year ago, Ben Brode got on Reddit and said that he would talk to the dev team about ways to improve arena rewards. And here we are a year later. We haven't heard anything about it. And Reddit never forgets. They have brought it back up and gotten a response from Ben Brode. And Ben said that he was speaking with designers in the past week about pulling a model together that would reduce variance in arena rewards. And then he went on to say that he's not sure that reduction in double pack rewards is worth it, but he said we'll see and make a decision. And he also went on to say that he's sorry that it didn't happen sooner. They made a lot of other changes to Arena, and that one thing he doesn't think that they have been the best about is minor updates. Although he did say, hey, there are some minor updates coming up. We just announced some, but we're going to try and be better about that in the future.
That's fair
I
enough.
actually just did a quick search on our Hearthstone for Arena rewards, and holy crap, are there just a ton of threads. People have been complaining about this forever. And most of the time, I feel like people complain like they don't play a lot of Arena, right? And then they finally get like a 12-win Arena, and they open the rewards, and they're like, what is this? You know, I thought I would get a million things. And I think some people's expectations of what you get at 12 wins are a little bloated. Like I play a lot of Arena, so I'm not very surprised when I get 200 gold. But I think some people think that you're supposed to get like 700 gold and a million packs and a golden legendary and all this stuff.
I mean,
12 wins is so hard, right?
Well, 12 wins is really hard. And also we've had Heroic Tavern Brawls, which have ridiculously huge rewards at the end, which also cost a lot more than Arena. But
it costs 5 times as much.
No, I'm completely aware of that. But when 12 wins has been tied with this is what you get as a reward in kind of Blizzard advertising, I can see how people who don't play a lot of Arena would go in with high expectations.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, I just got 12 wins in a, randomly drafted thing. This makes sense that I would get lots and lots of rewards because this is hard to do. And then, so I can see them being like, 200 gold? What?
Well, yeah, I mean, so I've gotten 12 wins a bunch of times, and sometimes it's really like sometimes you get tons of gold, but not a lot of cards, right? And sometimes you get not very much gold, and a lot of other stuff, double pack and a card and stuff like that. I do think the one thing I do agree with though, we shouldn't be getting non-golden cards as a reward. Like just give us the dust, the gold, and the packs. If we get a card, have it be a golden card that is cool. And it's all, like when you open it, it's like, oh my God, it's a golden card I didn't have. That I think I agree with. But as far as the other stuff, I think maybe the thing that would be more helpful is smooth out the rewards a little bit, so the rewards aren't so terrible. Then all of a sudden really good at 7 wins, because the difference between like 6 and 7 wins is like massive, right? And then of course the difference between 9 and 10 is really big as well. So I wouldn't mind seeing it smoothed out a little bit. Somebody actually made a post where they put in a way where they could take the rewards you get now, the same amount that's being paid out essentially in rewards, and have a smoother curve on how it goes up, and it would be probably more rewarding for everybody, and it wouldn't be like Blizzard's giving out more stuff than they currently are.
So just
but right now, I think it's just
redistribute the wealth.
I think it's just the variance, right? Like you get such a difference between, sometimes you open it and they're amazing, and sometimes you open it and they're not so good, and they should just kind of feel consistent, right? Like I got 10, I should feel like I know what I'm going to get. I got 4, I feel like I should know what I'm going to get, right? I think that's really the key here.
Yeah, I like that. I like that too. I don't understand why we need to randomize
everything
rewards. Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. Again, if you're trying to be trolly, like there's enough RNG in Hearthstone, it doesn't need to be in my Arena rewards, but but serious, basically, yes. It doesn't need to be randomized. There's only so many combinations of results you can have from Arena, so why not tie X reward for X result?
Yeah, and the other thing too, I think they really should consider giving us a pack token. They really should consider this. At this point, there's so many expansions and so many card packs that people want to get, and you're going to incentivize a lot more people to play Arena if they can target holes in their collection, right? Like anybody who spends a lot of money on Ngoro packs has no motivation to play Arena right now, right? There's no reason why I need to go in there and play Arena, because I've got all the cards from this current expansion. But I might be missing a bunch of cards to go play Wild, right? And so maybe I should be able to target some Wild packs and build that collection out.
That involves putting things back in the store, and that's too confusing for the player base.
I'm going to jump through the internet and choke both of you.
Literally one thing into the store, which is a Wild pack. That all of the cards that currently are in Wild are within that pack.
They don't even need to do that. Just put the old packs just back in. Why do we need Wild packs? Who cares?
Yeah,
just bring back GVG. Bring back. Yeah, I am at the point where I will disagree with any point anyone brings up to argue against pack tokens. I don't think there's a correct. I don't think there's an argument that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it really is at this point. I want more people to want to play Arena. That's all I really care. I think Blizzard should want that too, right? They put a bunch of work into making it better, improving the gameplay aspect of it. And with one more improvement, I think you get a bunch of people back in there, right? Because there's so many players now. Obviously, if we're at 70 million now, and who knows how many of those are actually active, but if we're at and we know more of them are active than ever before, that at least we do know. If that's the case, there are a lot of people who are playing now who were not playing at the time of GVG, at the time of the Grand Tournament, at the time of, Nax Ramus, all that stuff. And if we want them to play Wild, we got to give them a way to get back in there. And Arena would be a fantastic way to get more people. Like, doing this would get people into Arena and Wild. It's like, bam, just two birds, one stone. Let's go. So I hope that's kind of what they're considering.
Also,
I know they've talked about putting back in Wild stuff to get, but Arena would be a great way to do it.
If I could do some suggested feature necromancy, please. Also, Arena wins counting towards Golden Heroes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why that's not a thing.
Yeah, Raven just said in chat too, and I agree. The issue with Arena is there feels like there's no progression, but that's because the way that Arena always felt when the game first hit, you did feel like there was progression because there was progression in your collection. Right? That's the progression that Arena gives you. And that's gone away now because everybody just buys the pre-order and a bunch of packs. So then why do I play Arena? There's no reason. So if you can progress your collection, that is huge.
What about people like you, though, Dills? That you don't need to project. You don't need to continue
Well, I
your collection.
play Arena pretty much exclusively on my EU and China accounts. So I am progressing my collection there. I don't play it on my main account at all.
Fair enough.
Ever. There's literally no reason for it.
That's a very good point. Yeah. Although I would be surprised if a large majority of Hearthstone players actually play on multiple servers, but yeah.
I don't think that many people do.
No, I don't. I don't.
So I'm definitely the exception here. I'm not
the
common Hearthstone player by any means.
Yeah. No, but it's a very good point. Anyways, before we move on and talk about Control Paladin, let's thank our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC for supporting our podcast here. This episode, we wanted to thank Darren B., Justin T., Donald U., Harry F., and Alex, no last name given. Yes! Finally! A no last name given. It's been a few weeks. So if you have never checked it out before, Patreon is the place where you can go and opt in to subscribe to support The Angry Chicken. $0.25 per episode, $1 per episode. Every little bit counts, and we really do appreciate the support, everyone, as this is this is part of our day-to-day life. This is our job, not just this show. There are others. This could just be our job, though, if enough patrons showed up. But anyways, if you enjoy The Angry Chicken and you want to support us, patreon.com/TAC is the place to go. Now let's
We're not far off, by the way, of doing two things, right? Just need like another 50 patrons.
Another 50 patrons at like $1, or 100 patrons at 50 cents, or 200 patrons at 25 cents.
Sure. Yeah. And then you get extra content.
Exactly.
There you go.
Check it out. Now let's move on and talk about Muzzy's Control Paladin from this past weekend.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
We are talking Muzzy's Control Paladin. If you're looking for a deck list, it's all over the place. I happen to be looking at HearthstoneTopDecks.com right now, but it's not hard to find. It is not hard to find. So we haven't really talked Control Paladin yet. We've talked mid-range, Murloc Paladin.
Yep.
But
there's aggro Paladin with Murlocs.
Yeah, exactly. And there's Murlocs in this deck too, but barely any.
He is literally just the Hydrologist in this deck, but it's a good deck for the tournament scene, I think, because there were so many hungry crabs running around that if you're letting him kill a Hydrologist, you can get away with that. That's fine. But when a Hungry Crab eats your Murloc War Leader, that's no good. You probably lose that game. So this is like the first time we're starting to see people kind of move away from that Murloc stuff. And at first we were seeing people, the beginning of the expansion, we were seeing the Murloc Paladin thing going on. And then we were seeing like a N'Zoth style control Paladin. This is not either. This is just, okay, no, I don't bring back a bunch of stuff with N'Zoth. I basically just win the war of attrition, right? I clear all your stuff, and then eventually I kill you with like Tyrion or Ragnaros the Light Lord or some sort of Spiked Ridge Steed minion that's able to just kind of get enough stats in to get the job done. And it's brought back in the Doomsayer, the Forbidden Healing, quality with the Pyromancer, and equality with the Consecration. So lots and lots of tools for clearing stuff off. It's got the Peacekeeper Kodo combination, and again, like now we've got in the Kodo, 2 Kodos, which is something that a lot of decks haven't been doing. But 2 Kodos with the Curator package means you're always probably going to get at least a Kodo and a Drake when you Curator, right?
Yeah, because this is also running 2 Primordial Drakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one of the keys to being able to win with this deck in these type of attrition battles, I think, really is the Stonehill Defender. Stonehill Defender is just so damn good because you look at this deck and you think, well, I might run out of stuff, right? I don't have enough threats in this deck. But Stonehill Defender in Paladin just kind of guarantees you another Tyrion.
I was gonna say, yeah, you like Tyrion? Have another. Yeah. Maybe even 3.
I'm sure.
I definitely haven't always.
It's not very hard to end up with 3 Tyrions in a game because it just, you get Tyrion, Sunkeeper, and Wicker Flame burn bristles like so often when you play Stonehill Defender. So
I definitely had I'm trying to think of the haul. It was Shield Bearer, something else awful, and then who's the 5/5 that gains 5 health based on how many elementals you played previous? Osrook. That was my option. And but I had Ragnaros Lightlord in my hand.
That's luck right there.
I had Ragnaros Lightlord in my hand, so I got Osrook value.
Oh wow! Oh, that's cool. I didn't even think about that.
I dropped to 5/10 next
an elemental.
Yeah, Rag into Osrook. Not bad.
It came up, and I literally went expletive, like at my screen, and then I looked at my hand. I'm like, oh wait, elemental. Sure. And that's my turn 8, my turn 9, right there, done, over. So
I've seen a bunch of people playing this style of deck with a Lay on Hands and like a Vine Cleaver and all sorts of other stuff at the top. But I really like what Muzzy did here with just the Curator and the Drakes. And you have 1 Ivory Knight, which can get you a Lay on Hands or can get you some more of that kind of
damage.
Yeah, so that more sustain going into the end. It also could find you equalities, which are really important. It could find you consecrations, which are really important. So I think just throwing in the Ivory Knight kind of fixes a lot of that top end issue as well.
I like it so much.
Very cool deck.
I like it so much that I want the weapon meta to chill out so I can take Harrison Jones out and put in a second Ivory Knight.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the weapon meta, though, is very... I don't know if it's going anywhere.
Oh, it's not. It's not. I'm just saying I really like the Ivory Knight in here so much.
Even the mages have weapons now, Garrett.
Yeah.
You don't need to remind me, Dills. You don't need to remind me about freaking Medivh.
I will say this, though. At least Jiraxis isn't there where you can't Harrison it because you're like, I can't draw 7 right now. So that's good. That's gone. But yeah, no, you got to save it for the Medivh. You got to save it for the Pirate Warriors. Be able to kill those upgraded weapons. It's just super important card right now. But I think the construction of this deck is pretty perfect right now for what we're seeing in tournaments. So if someone's looking for a good Paladin deck and they don't want to play the Murlocs, I think this is a great option. There's just so many tools. This is a toolbox deck that doesn't weaken itself by putting in those tools. So
is this obviously is his tournament deck, and you talked about it being a good tournament deck. Is it just as effective on ladder as in tournaments, or is this kind of a tournament only thing that you should try?
It's definitely probably worse for ladder. You could do some unteching probably on ladder. You probably don't need like double Kodo and stuff like that there, but you could definitely have success on ladder with this too. It's just you're going to have a little bit more of a grindy, slower process. But this deck will always have the ability to clear boards and do decently against aggro. So, but I think really it's like a mid-range crusher. Like this will just anything that tries to play minions and stuff and win that way, you'll kill them.
Yeah.
All right. Next question: is there room for Eater of Secrets?
Sure. If you're having
F
problems
mages.
with secrets, you could take out that Wicker Flame, throw in an Eater of Secrets.
Yeah, 'cause
I don't
guess
really
Wicker
think you
Flame
always
could
need the Wicker
get-
Flame because you
Yeah.
can get one off a Stonehill Defender.
Mhm.
So that's definitely a card that I could tech in and out.
I agree
I
with
can't
that.
even believe that these words are coming out of our. Yeah, you could totally
know.
tech in Eater
I
of
know.
Secrets. Like, oh.
You can also take out one of the Kodos. One of the Kodos is always a thing that could be taken out. But I do think that there's enough 2 health and less minions, even without Peacekeepering them in the current meta, that Kodo is going to find value most of the time.
I agree. The only time is like I ended up in a lot of Paladin mirror matches that weren't necessarily this control Paladin, but that's where it's like when do I Kodo? There's always a 1/1 that it's of course going to kill.
Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah,
But
against
that's
like
just
Shaman and Paladin, it's a much weaker card because they have, little dudes on demand.
Yeah, but that's an outlier. That's kind of your worst case scenario. Although I bricked really hard today taking this up for a spin, which is getting rolled over by token shamans because I never found my consecrate.
Yeah, that's a very important card. In fact, sometimes I keep it, depending on the matchup, right? It's often a card you don't really keep, but this deck can keep greedier stuff, right? I think you keep things like if you have Pyromancer and Equality in your opening hand, you just keep those. Because you could just dude for a while and then wipe their board once and then suddenly move into your late game power. Keeping Doomsayer obviously makes a lot of sense. Stonehill Defender you keep a lot of times. Hydrologist obviously. But I found myself keeping things like True Silver and Consecrate quite often.
Yeah. True Silver's just can get so much value in so many matchups.
Yeah, True Silver is still maybe the best mid-range weapon in the game. Like obviously Fiery War Axe is slightly better, but because it comes out on 2. But True Silver probably a close second as far as weapons are concerned.
Agreed. Now, if Paladins could just get 3 billion ways to add on to it in terms of durability and attack, they can pretend to be warriors.
Dude, if Paladins could do that, oh my god, let's do that.
It'd be disgusting. Granted, it would start
That's
2
probably
turns
why
later.
they can't.
Yeah.
So but you know what's very cool about Paladin right now? There are actually 4 viable Paladin builds. We haven't really seen that in a while.
We haven't seen Paladin in a while. They went from nothing to Shaman very quickly. Went from 0 to Shaman real quick.
I actually think in 1 or 2 expansions, we're going to see hand buff Paladin. It's going to happen.
It seems to be close. There's the kind of more aggressive Paladin that is running the, I think the Chum and the 1/1 dude that buffs everything in your hand. It's kind of getting there. There's something.
The Smuggler.
Yeah, the Smuggler.
Yeah. It's close. The meta needs to slow down a little more. Right now, that deck will still get run over by pirates and stuff. So, if it can get to the point where it can deal with pirates a decent amount of the time, then it'll be
a weapon-eating Murloc. There you go.
Done and done.
Maybe if you run Galaka crawlers and stuff, and that allows you to deal with the pirates, you could do hand buffing now. Maybe.
Mm. Yeah, I've seen people playing with it, but it's just not quite there.
It's not quite there. It's close though.
Yeah, it's still just a little too slow.
Yeah, it's there in Arena. I hate playing against Paladins in Arena because I feel like they end up hand buffing all the time.
Well, that's what's so cool about it is you move into a slower format, and all of a sudden it's a terrifying prospect of having to deal with these on-curve minions that are overstated. Yep.
Yeah. When you play, a 4/6 Acolyte of Pain, that's a problem.
Yeah. Yes, it is. You're gonna have a bad time. Well, fantastic. Good luck with this deck out there. Everyone, we've got a link to the deck list in the show notes, amove.tv/TAC, or just go anywhere where people type about Hearthstone. You will find this deck.
If you just type in right now, Muzzy decks, you will find it. It's right near the top.
Yep.
Well, and the link that's in the show notes actually, right at the bottom, it has all of his HCT decks.
It does,
so,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Hearthstone Top Decks is great for finding tournament decks right after the tournament happened. And obviously the guy who wins, everyone's going to go out and look for these decks. Mm-hmm. So, but he had a Miracle Rogue, a Paladin, a Jade Shaman, and Quest Warrior. Don't play the Quest Warrior, guys. Just don't. Let's just all move on from that.
Don't be part of the problem, please.
All right, let's wrap this up with an email.
Hello? Hello.
Just quickly, did you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Maybe write in and tell us at what point we shifted from groaning when it's Pirate Warrior to groaning when it's Taunt Warrior. I would rather see a Pirate Warrior right now. I really would. Adrian writes in for our email this week and says, "Hey, Garrett, Jocelyn, and Dills, I'm looking into running a Fireside gathering, but I have no idea where to start. What tips do you have for me / any major hurdles that you have to overcome that I should know about beforehand? I'm interested in event organization to bolster my resume. Thanks for your time." I'm a bad person to ask. It kind of just fell together. I've met Amy. Amy was like, "Yo, you want to do a Fireside? I've got a really awesome venue." And I said yes.
Find yourself an Amy. Is your
find yourself an Amy. If you can't do that, and I'm about to lose Amy. Congratulations are in store because Amy is going to work for Blizzard.
Yay!
This weekend.
Oh, we can actually talk about it?
This
she's
week,
coming to Austin.
Yeah. This last weekend.
Gonna be my neighbor.
Yeah, this last weekend was her last Fireside with us. I don't. Maybe she'll start a Fireside out by you, Dills. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's allowed or not. I think it is. I think employees at Blizzard are allowed to run Firesides, but whatever the case is,
maybe I can do it and she can help.
Congrats, Amy.
It'll be nice to know somebody at the Austin Blizzard office because I actually didn't. None of those people I've ever really had any interaction with. So
yeah. I don't think we're allowed to say what she's doing yet, so I won't say what she's doing. But whatever the case is, congrats, Amy. And if you are a Florida Fireside attendee, it's not going anywhere. It will continue on, so don't worry about that.
So I did want to mention, actually, I put a link in our show notes. Basically, Blizzard has on their website a kind of learn more section about Fireside gatherings that has links to a whole bunch of different tools if you're looking to run your first one. I've run one actually at BlizzCon, and basically what I will say is make sure you test your Wi-Fi beforehand, because having good connections for people is like the #1 pet peeve of players. Like if you're in the middle of a tournament and then all of a sudden you're dropping games and all kinds of stuff, or people can't connect, like just make sure your internet is solid going into it, because yeah, that's obviously your most important thing when you're playing, connecting two different players together. But other than that, I mean, Blizzard actually makes it pretty easy. There's a couple of waivers you have to make sure that players sign. But other than that, just, like make sure your internet works and go and have fun.
Yeah,
Hearthstone players, at least in my experience, they're pretty easygoing. They just are there for the experience. They're excited that there's other people there that are loving the same thing that they're loving, and just getting all those people together. They're generally, at least in my experience, have been a good crowd, and I don't want to say it's not hard, because it's definitely as stressful as running any kind of gathering tournament sort of thing can be. But yeah, there are a lot of resources available, both like over on Reddit and also through Blizzard itself. So yeah, just take a look at some of that stuff.
If you want to run a tournament, I prefer in person to online. I think it's easier to deal with any issues that come up, short of the internet going down. Then you're kind of just out of luck. But the Firesides live and die by really just two things: venue and Wi-Fi. Those are your two most important things. And if anything, if you start making a list of potential venues, it's probably going to be longer than you ever thought it would be. So I think a good way to just start narrowing that down is go to potential venues that have Wi-Fi and just test it.
Test it, yeah.
Yeah, just install a little speed test on your phone, on your iPad, whatever. Go in, maybe bring a couple of friends, play Hearthstone, see how it goes. And beyond that, finding a venue probably isn't as hard as you think it is. There's plenty of places that would probably let you host it for free, as long as you're not on a competing weekend with another event. Coffee shops are great.
Yeah, if you're bringing people in, they'll be happy about that.
If you're still in college, you probably have a lot of options for college venues that they could, again, probably give you for next to nothing, as long as it's a free date. And then beyond that, just find a way to promote it. And Blizzard's really good about it. If you're doing a Fireside, you can go to the Fireside website and let them know, and they will put it up on their site, and it'll get out to people who are looking for Firesides in their area. So
yeah, there's a big like create an event button. It's really hard to miss on all of the Fireside sites. It's like right at the top. There's always just one like, are you ready? Create your event. And that basically just like flags it to Blizzard. And then there's like, you can actually go, there's a big calendar they have, and you can search for Firesides in your area. So the amount of discovery that Blizzard really, you know, kind of helps you with in terms of event promotion, like it's all done through their site, and they are really, really good. They're kind of pushing the whole Fireside initiative. So if you're looking to get into it, now's the time. I know my friend Larry, she also used to do a lot out in Nova Scotia as well as in Toronto. She did a lot of these Firesides, and Blizzard has also been really good about like sending prizes. So that's another thing is, you know, to just reach out to Blizzard and say like, okay, I'm running a Fireside. We're expecting this many people. If you actually put an event on Facebook and can get like a head count, that'll work as well. And then you can say like, I'm looking to give them something for showing up. And then, I mean, she's got like the Hearthstone pillows and, you know, like all the little screen cleaners and all sorts of little kind of Hearthstone things to give out, because, you know, having that kind of stuff and also making it an event that happens more than one time. Like if you can say, you know, we're going to do a Fireside, you know, every third Friday or Saturday or something of the month, and then people start to know that it's happening. You know, anything where you kind of set the precedent that you're going to do these things, the more support you're going to get. If it's a one-off, then, you know, they may or may not help you out. But if you're consistently organizing events for them over and over, then they're going to send you some swag.
Yeah, absolutely. And other than that, I would still promote it yourself through whatever means you would like to go through. We primarily use meetup.com, which does have a nominal fee. You can try it for free. But if you want to keep using it, if your group gets so large that you do need to, you know, pay for an actual account, it's not a lot of money. We have paid for ours just by running a real simple raffle. Even before Blizzard started sending us swag to give away, we could just go buy a couple of Blizzard-themed pop finals and raffle them off. And that would usually easily cover the cost of a meetup account. So beyond that, Facebook is a wonderful free tool that will, you know, kind of works on a local level. All kinds of things. But yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Blizzard event guide, because it's actually pretty damn cohesive, and it's on the Fireside website on the main landing page. So if you go to the Hearthstone website, you click on the Fireside link at the top, and at you know, just navigate around there. At the bottom is actually the link to the PDF.
Yeah, so, and I also put a link straight to the Learn More section right in our show notes. So you guys can just go to AMove TV and look for the post for episode, I think, 212 is what we are this week? Yeah, 212.
Yep, look for the
and,
212
the link to the show notes will be there.
Yep, and someone always misses them. It's usually at the very bottom of the post, there is a link to the show notes. So go and find it there. So test your Wi-Fi, book your venue, set a time, get your RSVPs, and have fun.
Very comprehensive list, Garrett.
I mean,
Don't forget to have fun.
It's the broad strokes. It's the broad. Yeah, you better have fun. If you're not having fun, why are you doing it? So, anyways, good luck with that, and feel free to keep hitting us up on Twitter if you have more like granular questions. I love hearing people starting up new Firesides. So that's going to do it for this episode of The Angry Chicken. Again, you can send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you again to our badass patrons supporting us at patreon.com/TAC, especially Declan H. and Peter Williams, our producers. Check us out, amove.tv. We just mentioned it. That's where you can go and find the post for every single episode of The Angry Chicken ever, including links to every single individual show notes we've ever made. We have shirts at shirts.amove.tv. We have glassware at etched.amove.tv. Jocelyn is sporting her Angry Chicken pint glass right there. Follow the show on Twitter at TAC Podcast, and catch us live Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern right here on twitch.tv/AMoveTV. And actually go there this Friday, because at 3 p.m. Eastern time, the three of us are going to be getting on and deciding on a deck that we're going to pilot up the ladder. It sounds like it might be Token Shaman. So we're going to try pilot Token Shaman. If you've never tuned into these before, it's very fun. We typically rope a lot. So.
Which I'm sure our opponents are so mad about.
Yes, absolutely. So other than that, Dills, where can folks find you around the internet?
Check me out on Twitter. I'm at Willie Dills, and twitch.tv/Willie Dills is where you can find my stream. We're starting to do Tuesday night Heroes. So if anybody wants to play Heroes of the Storm, we're just kind of playing with whoever is in the chat who wants to play. So that'll be tonight. And then most of the time, the rest of the time, it's Hearthstone. So you can generally check me out doing that. Next month will be fun, though. We'll figure out what we're going to focus on. And like I said earlier in the show, so tonight's Heroes. Tomorrow I'll be doing a sealed show match against Nippy Papa, who is always in the top 8 of the DHL.
Best name ever.
It's an awesome name. Yeah, he's actually I would consider him an IRL friend. He's also in the MGA, and he runs the Tallahassee chapter, I believe.
Nice.
So yeah, he's a Floridian.
Tallahassee is basically Georgia.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's straight up. That's the dirty South up there. You have to go north to go south in Florida.
All right. So he's not a city slicker like you.
Oh no, I'm a beach bum.
Oh, okay. All right. Wow, Florida has it all covered.
Yeah.
Everything but mountains, man. Everything but altitude.
But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We're gonna play a actual for money match against each other using the sealed Tempo Storm sealed deck generator. So check that out tomorrow night. And tonight, Heroes.
Badass. Jocelyn, how about yourself?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays. I've started doing my nail streams again on my Twitch channel. So if you guys are into kind of cool creative stuff, we did Wonder Woman nails. Which is actually super fun. It took a really long time, but I love doing the nail streams because that's a really good time if you guys just want to chill, hang out, ask me questions. It's a little bit more interactive than when I'm actually doing gameplay streams because I can pay attention to the chat room. Dills, yeah, actually, we're doing a hero stream tonight too. So there, competing hero streams with my ladies.
Oh yeah,
or you could just watch them both.
Yeah, there
just
you go.
Oh,
we should multi-twitch.
Multi-twitch that stuff. Multi-twitch it.
Yep. So again, that's Joss Plays over on Twitch. So check me out.
Awesome. Every podcast I do is at amove.tv. I guested on Pixels today with Patrick Beja. I talked a lot about Destiny 2. I talked even more about Destiny 2 on my solo show, The Angry Nerd. If you haven't listened to that, go check that out. Most recent episode is basically 25 minutes of why I think Destiny 2 looks cool. Beyond that, Jocelyn and I actually have a World of Warcraft show called For Azeroth, and we're kickstarting the next season of our Embrace of Spoilers for the next season of Game of Thrones. You can find that at bit.ly/embraceofspoilers. And I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. I guess I forgot to mention that. If you want to yell at me, that's the best place to do it. So that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And until next time, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!